Is this some kind of joke? Look at this box. Look at it.
Ma'am, it's just a scuff on the cardboard. The item inside is completely...
I didn't ask what's inside. I asked why you handed me damaged property like it's nothing.
I can have a fresh box brought up within the hour. I just need to call it in.
You should have called it in before you got on the elevator. Do you know whose home this is?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Exactly. So maybe act like it matters.
I'll get you a replacement right away.
Don't bother coming back yourself. Send someone who actually pays attention. Rosa, my grandmother's vase. The blue one. It's cracked. Ma'am, that crack was there when I started. I noticed it my very first wee bath.
I didn't touch it today. I can show you the photo I took when
I don't remember asking for an explanation. I asked how it happened. You've worked here 3 years, and this is the first I'm hearing about a crack? I mentioned it, I did, back in the spring.
Ma'am, please, I need this job.
I don't have time for this. Pack your things.
Yeah.
You should have thought about that before you got careless.
What about this week's pay? I worked every day.
Consider it a lesson. Principles matter to me, Rosa. Maybe they'll matter to you next time. Camille, you would not believe what my lawyer sent over today. The prenup again?
They said Eleanor Whitfield had more money than she could spend in 10 lifetimes, yet on a rainy Tuesday morning in October, she stood in a stranger's kitchen wearing a gray uniform and rubber gloves, scrubbing a stove that would one day belong to her own son. Nobody in that penthouse knew her real name. Nobody knew she had raised the man who was about to marry the woman shouting orders from the next room. Eleanor had come to find out who her son was really about to spend his life with. And by the end of that week, what she uncovered would change everything he believed about love. Before we go further, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We would love to hear from you, and if you're new here, click subscribe so you never miss one of our stories. 6 months earlier, Michael Whitfield was the kind of man magazines like to write about. At 34, he had built a real estate company worth more than $2 billion, starting with a single renovated apartment building his father left behind before passing away 9 years ago. Michael worked long hours, rarely dated, and trusted almost no one outside his mother, who had raised him alone in a modest house in Ohio. So when he came home and told her he was engaged to a woman named Vanessa Sinclair, Eleanor smiled, hugged her son, and said all the right things. Quietly, though, something did not sit well with her. It started small. At their first dinner together, Vanessa spoke to the waiter in a tone Eleanor had not heard used on another human being in years. At a charity gala 2 weeks later, Vanessa laughed about a woman who worked her building's front desk, calling her someone who clearly did not understand her place. Michael did not notice. He was in love, and love made people generous with their blind spots. Eleanor told herself she was imagining things. But the feeling did not leave her, and she remembered something she had learned in her own poorer years. You learn who someone truly is by watching how they treat people who can do nothing for them in return. So on a quiet Sunday, without telling Michael, Eleanor called the staffing agency that supplied housekeeping for Vanessa's building. She gave a different name, Dorothy Reyes, a retired hotel housekeeper looking for part-time work. 2 days later, she was hired to clean Vanessa's penthouse 3 mornings a week, starting that Tuesday. Walking in for the first time, her heart pounded beneath her plain gray uniform. She recognized her own son's smile staring back from a silver frame on the wall. Vanessa breezed past without a glance, phone pressed to her ear, complaining about a caterer who had ruined her vision for the engagement party. To Vanessa, Dorothy was simply part of the furniture. Over the following days, Eleanor watched a version of Vanessa her son had never seen. She watched her scream at a delivery driver over a scratch box. She watched her fire a longtime housekeeper named Rosa over a vase that had been cracked long before Rosa ever touched it, refusing to pay her final week's wages out of what she called principal. Eleanor, still in disguise, slipped Rosa $200 in the hallway and told her to keep her head up. Rosa thanked her, calling her kind for a woman who cleaned houses for a living. Eleanor only nodded, her throat tight with everything she could not say. If this story has your heart racing right now, comment "I'm still watching," and let's see who makes it all the way to the end with us today. The turning point came 10 days before the engagement party. Eleanor was dusting the study when she heard Vanessa on the phone with her friend Camille, voice lowered but not lowered enough. Vanessa was laughing about the prenuptial agreement her lawyer was renegotiating, joking that Michael's mother was an old woman playing house who would not live forever anyway. She said marrying into old money required patience, and once the paperwork was signed, patience would finally pay off. She mentioned a man named Derek, someone she called her real type, laughing that Michael's bank account made up for what he lacked in excitement. Eleanor stood frozen in the hallway, feeling something crack quietly inside her chest. She had suspected carelessness. She had not expected this. For a moment she considered walking straight into that room and telling Vanessa exactly who she was. Instead, she thought of her son's face across their dinner table, and she made herself wait. She needed proof stronger than her own memory. That night, using a small recorder Rosa helped her hide, she began gathering it, Vanessa's true feelings about his family, her plans for the money, her ongoing calls with Derek. Eleanor did not enjoy a single minute of it. She loved her son too much to feel any satisfaction in being right. The night before the party, Eleanor finally told Michael everything, arriving at his office still in the grey uniform she had worn all week, because she wanted him to see exactly where the truth had come from. She played the recordings one by one. Michael sat in silence, his jaw tightening, his eyes moving between the recorder and his mother's tired face. When it ended, he only asked, quietly, why she had not told him sooner. Eleanor said she needed him to hear it in Vanessa's own voice, not filtered through her mother's fear of being wrong. The engagement party happened as scheduled, though not the way anyone expected. Michael stood at the microphone, thanked his guests, and then, calmly, played 30 seconds of the recording for the room. Vanessa's laughter about his mother, about his money, about Derek, filled the silence where a toast was supposed to be. She tried to explain. There was nothing left to explain. Within a week the engagement was over, and within a month Vanessa had moved out of the penthouse that was never truly hers to begin with. Months later, Michael rehired Rosa personally, this time to manage his household staff with full benefits and the respect she never received under Vanessa. He and his mother grew closer than they had been in years, sharing dinners without pretense, without anyone performing for a camera that was not there. Michael later said the woman who taught him the most about character that year was not the one he almost married. It was his mother, standing quietly in a stranger's kitchen, willing to lower herself completely just to protect a son who did not yet know he needed protecting. What would you have done in Eleanor's place, and what would you want someone to do for you? Let us know in the comments below, and if this story moved you, subscribe for more stories that remind us character always reveals itself eventually, one way or another.